Hey gang, this week we're going to do our very first Why Is This Solo Great? We're going to pick a simple yet very powerful solo. The solo from Nowhere Man by John Lennon and George Harrison are both playing the solo. Lennon wrote it, but they're both playing the solo on this one. And I think you'll agree it's a very, very memorable solo. And in my personal opinion, it's an incredibly great solo. I'm going to do a demo first, and then I'll give you my theory on why that is, okay? Coming right up. All right. Well, there we go. Even with that really cheesy backing track, it still came out okay. I think it still sounds pretty good. So I think that's just a testament to how powerful the solo is and how great the song is, personally. All right, so what is it that makes this solo so powerful even though it's so simple? All right, well, that I can sum up in one sentence. It's because it fits the song perfectly. Now, I know what you're saying. You're saying, yeah, duh, chord tones, hello. And while there's a certain truth to that, I'll give you that. I think that I could have composed that solo. I could have used chord tones. My guess is I wouldn't have come up with anything nearly as good as what Lennon and Harrison came up with for this one and played. So, what is it about the song and about the technical construction of the solo that makes it so great? And that's what we're going to talk about in just a second. Now, just a little throat clearing here. I'm not so arrogant as to think that my theory is the right one or the only one or anything like that. So by all means, if you have your own theories or your own commentary to put on that, please put them in the comments below. I'd love to hear about it. And if you have other ideas for what we could cover in other solos that we say, why is this solo great? And you'd like to hear that, please put it in the comments as well. Love to get that. Okay. On with the why. So we're going to break this up into two different pieces. The first piece is the song itself. And the second part is going to be the technical sort of looking at the solo construction. Okay, so those are the two parts. So let's talk a little bit about the song itself. What are the characteristics of the song that really kind of stick out and make it interesting in terms of crafting a solo? Or what are the points that you want to think about as you're crafting it? All right, well, number one, it's a beautiful song. It's a pretty song. It has a pretty melody. It uses all sort of major and minor chords. There's nothing exotic in it. Number two, it's very simple from both a rhythm and from a melody point of view. It's a very simple song. Actually, it's very simple from a harmony point of view as well. So all the three elements of Western music, rhythm, melody, and harmony, are all very simple. That's important to remember because that goes into the construction of this. Another thing before we go on and talk a little bit more technically, and that is the song is a contemplative one. My understanding is this was Lennon's first song where he actually wrote and the Beatles recorded a song that was not about relationships or boy-girl type stuff. Now, I haven't checked this out, so I don't know, but that's what I read. In any event, it certainly is a contemplative song. It's not about a boy and girl or partying or anything like that. It's about, hey, where's my life going? Maybe it's going nowhere. That's kind of heavy stuff. And so the solo is going to take that in. A good solo, a well-crafted solo, is going to take all that stuff in. It's pretty, it's simple, rhythmically, melodically, and harmonically, and it's contemplative. So taking all that into consideration, we're going to go into it. All right, so now let's talk about the technical side of the song. Let us start with the sound. The sound is amazing. The sound is unique. Certainly it was unique at the time. It's incredibly trebly. They used twin sonic blue. Apparently John and George used twin sonic blue Stratocasters. Now, I know I didn't use it in sonic blue. I hope that's okay. For some of you guys, it might not be. But in any event, I used two different strats to get that sound, and I put them on the bridge pickup, and I put the treble, the tone all the way up. On my amp, I put the tone knob all the way up on the treble. So I just added as much treble as I could. I voiced the amplifier more like a Fender, so super trebly. That's kind of interesting. It's also recorded with twin guitars, like I said, John and George playing the unison notes, except for that last note, I understand, is just George's. He put that in there. We'll get to that in just a second. So that's the backdrop on this for the sound. So the sound is really unique, and I think that makes a big difference in terms of why this is great. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the chord construction. Now the chords are very simple in this. It's over the E. He's a real B, nowhere man. Sitting in, that's an A, is nowhere land. That's an E. So far, all diatonic in the key of E. Making all, that's an F sharp minor. And here's a kicker, his nowhere plans. That's an A minor. We'll talk about that one in just a second. For nobody. Back to the E. Now it's actually really just a touch of brilliance in the chord construction. What's the one chord that really sticks out? It's that A minor, right? That really sticks out and kind of really heightens the lyrical content in this as well. So if we look at the key of E, the chords that are harmonized in that would be E, F sharp minor, G sharp minor, A major, B major, and we could keep going, but I'm not going to because that's sufficient to understand this song. And so going down, we've got B, A, G sharp minor, F sharp minor, and E. All there. So what's not in that? A minor, right? It's an A major that's in there. So when we play the A minor instead, John is kind of faking us out. He's giving us this thought, maybe it's going to be a key change. But then it goes right back to the E, right back to the tonic. Nope, there's no key change. That is brilliant because I think it really reflects this person contemplating his life, and maybe it's time for a change. No, it's going to keep going nowhere. All right, so it literally kind of goes nowhere. It goes right back to where it was at home in the first place. That's kind of cool. All right, anyway, so a good solo is going to take all that kind of stuff into account. So let's look at the solo now. Let's take a look at the first line. The first line is this. Okay, so that takes us over the E chord and the B chord. Now, yes, it's chord tones. For the most part, the first one is literally out of a chord position, that E. And they're using a folk technique of using the top note of a strummed chord to be the first note of the melody. It's a very common technique in folk. What's interesting, I think, to this is that the melody is different than the song itself, than the vocal line. It's not that much different. I'm going to share with you something that I thought of. I don't know whether this is deliberate on their part or whether it was just accidental and great. But if you listen to on the E, John sings going up. He's a real... But the line goes down. And on the B, he sings nowhere man. He goes down on it. But on the melody line on the solo, it goes up. I think whether that's intentional or not, it's brilliant. And it's almost the same. It echoes the melody, but it gives a contrast. It doesn't clash, but it gives a contrast to it. To me, that's brilliant. I know it's so simple, but it just works. Okay, here's the second line. Again, he goes down where the vocal melody goes up, and he goes up where the vocal melody goes down, sticking very close to the chords. Nice, simple, all that. Okay, now we're getting into the last part with an F minor. Okay, that's a nice line. It just follows chord tones on this one. And now this one. Okay, so that's over the A minor. Now, there are chord tones and there are chord tones. Some chord tones really matter and other ones don't. This is one that really, really matters, and John and George chose a perfect note for this one. This C. Why is the C a perfect note for this? Well, it's actually really simple when you think about it. Remember when I said diatonically, if we were playing in the key of E, we have E, F sharp minor, G sharp minor, and A. But in this song, we're playing that A minor. Now, what is the difference between an A and an A minor? It's a single note, it's the third. So if we look at an A major, the third is a C sharp. And if we look at an A minor, the third is a C, not a C sharp. So playing that C, playing the third of a chord that's either a minor or a major really brings out its flavor. And so here it's important to emphasize because it's different. It's the unique one. So that's what's emphasized there. Okay, then finally, and we're going back to E. And then of course that last note, we'll see if I can get it. There we go. All right. Even that is just a spark of genius. You know, George could have played this one, and that sounds great. It really does. But this one, the high harmonic, what possessed him to do that one? I'm not sure, but I think it's a little bit better than the regular harmonic. It's a little unique. Maybe it fits that whole treble-y thing that's going on. I don't know. Stroke of genius. I think it's very memorable. All right, gang. Well, there you go. Nowhere Man, the solo to that one. John and George both playing it on that one. What a great solo. I've always loved this one. Really simple, and yet I remember every note in it, and it just is very powerful. Fits perfectly with the song. Hope you agree, but if you don't, always your comments are welcome, or your own theories are welcome as well. Hope you enjoyed this one. We will see you on down the road.